Hi, there was one thing that I forgot to cover in our lecture, but this is the process for scaling your images. If you note here, I've got this sun image that we brought in, and it's rather large, and I don't want it to be that size. We actually have another attribute that we can add to this, and that is the width and height. We can set these values, and they will control the size of our object. So I could set these to 120 and 75. But you should immediately see the problem with this. It's stretched. We scaled it um, not considering what the original size was. If I hover over here, I'll see the original size was 600 wide by 446. I'm sorry, yeah, 600 wide by 446 tall. And then we scaled it non-proportional to those dimensions. So we would have to come up with those values. Nice thing though is if you only include the width, it will then proportionally scale the image to the original proportions based on that width value. So we really only have to provide one value, and the image will scale accordingly. There's a couple different ways we can do this. We can also do this with styles, and it works similarly. But there's also one other thing that you can do. You can also set things to a percentage. But this is a percentage of the container that it's within. So in this case here, my image is inside of the body. So if I reload this, it's going to be 50% of the size of the window. And I can vouch for that by as I scale the window, the image gets larger. And this happens to be a higher quality image, so it will scale nicely. Some images that you do this to won't, such as if I try to do this with the paper here and do that there, sort of looks okay, but as it gets larger, you will see it gets pixelated and it's not as smooth of an image. So when we use a percentage, we're telling the image to scale to the size of its container, in this case being the same page. If we give it a width, it will scale the height and the width proportional to that value. But we could also give this document a height value as well. It happens to be a square image, so I could say height equals 200 as well. Right? Looks exactly the same. Or we can maybe try and do something a little more maybe artistic and say that it's this and the width is 100%. So we actually just made a line that extended to the browser window that has a little bit of, I don't know what you want to call this, stipulation or stridation in it because we actually just took one image, made it really wide, and scaled it really thin. Right? So that's an example of how we can scale our images once we bring them into our HTML documents. All right, hope that is helpful. Can't wait to see your Cat in the Hat assignments.